Okay, good morning once again. I'm Coach Shannon, and today is May 13th. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday today. And I'm so glad to see new faces and, of course, familiar faces. At natutuwa naman ako, nagtutuloy-tuloy kayo sa inyong pag-review in your IELTS journey. We call it a journey because it's something that you have to go through step by step. All right? And we expect it not to be easy because as we all know, IELTS is the top one English proficiency exam in the world. So you don't expect anything to be easy in IELTS. So first few mock tests mo, Laika, what score? Is it okay for you to disclose the number? Or probably you can give me a general idea kung nakakakuha ka na ba agad ng matataas na score or initially medyo mababa pa lang? Mga 24 naman pa rin. Sa listening out of 40, right? So I think that's a band 5. It's okay. And how about after a few more weeks of progress? What are you getting? Are you getting accustomed to the listening test? Mga 32 po yung... Wow, that's a big jump from 24 to 32 because she kept practicing. Okay, eventually you will get used to it. All right, I know that English is not our mother tongue in the Philippines, but the good thing about the younger generation, yung mga Gen Z, kayo, I'm sorry, hindi, mukha lang ako Gen Z, pero, huy, mukhang Gen Z, I'm just kidding. Alam mo yun, yung mga generation nyo, I know that you have the privilege to be able to grow up in the digital era. You have access to the internet, online sources. Kaya naman, madali lang to acquire the second language, our second language, which is English. So, without any further ado, let's talk about our topic today, which is the common mistakes in speaking. I will briefly discuss what are the grading criteria for the speaking subtest. But before that, you all know that IELTS has 4 components. We have the listening test, the reading test, the writing, and lastly is the speaking. Right after you finish those 3 consecutive exams, you will be given an hour break. And after that, you have to come back for the interview. This time, it's not going to be written, it's going to be an actual virtual interview. Okay? Lalo na if dito kayo magpapabook ng exam sa Cabanatuan Testing Center powered by British Council. So, ganun yung magiging setup natin. Alright? So, pinakamadali for me yung speaking. Why? Because it's only 15 minutes maximum. Meaning, you can even accomplish it within 12 minutes. Alright? Depending on how you're capable to perform during the interview. Pero, ma'am, baka ikaw lang yun kasi ikaw lang naman yung nadadalian sa speaking. I do understand that most of you feel intimidated when it comes to talking with a foreigner. And yes, your examiners are most likely to be foreigners or Filipino examiners who are veterans as examiners, meaning you can't tell whether that person is Filipino or not. Pero pwedeng matapat sa inyo is an examiner with an Australian accent, American accent, neutral accent, British accent. That's why you have to prepare for that. So, ginather na namin lahat ng common mistakes na nagawa na ng mga previous test takers. Why? Why is it important to address the mistakes? Why is it important to talk about it? Hindi madaling pag-usapan yung mga pagkakamali natin, right? Kasi somehow, may konting kirot. Bakit nga ba pag-uusapan yung mga mali? I-emphasize pa ba natin? Siyempre, kailangan. Because if you don't have the constructive criticism mindset, you can't level up. Naniniwala ba kayo sa ganun? na kung ikaw hindi ka marunong tumanggap ng pagkakamali at hindi ka marunong tumanggap ng coaching, ng advice, how can you level up? That's basically the reason why you enrolled in a review center. Because you want to be evaluated, you want to be assessed, so that we can remove those bad habits, we can identify your weaknesses in the English language so that we can strengthen them. That's the goal. That's basically the reason why we need to talk about the mistakes in speaking. Because we need to address, bakit nga ba nagkakaroon ng mistakes? Where are we going wrong? What are we doing wrong that we should correct? Okay? I really love an innovative mindset. Yung tipong, alam mo na may kailangan ka pang i-improve at alam mo may kailangan pang baguhin sa sarili mo. Because if you are too prideful and you can't accept that there's something missing, there's something needs to be corrected, you're the kind of person who won't level up in life. This is a general advice, not just in speaking. But in your lives, you know for a fact na kapag hindi ka marunong tumanggap ng pagkakamali, it's not easy to move on to your next level. You will just get stuck on your current level. And I'm really proud of you guys because everyone here has that mindset. That's the reason why we're here together. For you to receive coaching and for you to be able to work on your weaknesses and eventually turn them into strength. Okay? So, kaya naman ina-advise namin, before you take your exam, I don't know what timeline you have. Yung iba dito, 1 month, 2 months, kailangan na po kasi for the requirement. Inaapura na ako ng agency, inaapura ako ng parents ko, or kung sino man. But the thing is, if you are not yet ready to take the exam, don't let the exterior pressure get into you. Okay? You have to make sure na ikaw mismo, you're consistently getting your target score. Okay? So, meron tayong tinatawag na required band score. Yun yung ibibigay sa inyo ng mga agency or ng country, ng institution, ng university, college. Sasabihin sa inyo, ang required sa'yo, overall band 7. Or, pwede rin naman ang i-require sa'yo, in all skills, 5.5, walang bababa sa 5.5. Okay? Iba-iba. Depende yan sa inyo. So, alamin nyo kung ano yung required score for you. We have to start from there. And now, magkaiba yun sa target natin, ha? Because our target should always be higher than the required score. Let's say, ang ni-require sa inyo ay band 7. As we progress in your IELTS journey, hindi natin ita-target lang ang 7. Ang target natin, 0.5 or 1 point higher than that. I know it's not going to be easy. Welcome, Benica. Please have a seat on this part of the room, please. So, gets nyo? Kung ang hine-require sa inyo ay 7 and you're just consistently getting 7, you might as well try to surpass that score. Para pagdating sa mismong exam, confident ka na, 1 take ko lang to. Don't you think that's a more practical technique, strategy? Kasi hindi ka mag-aaksaya ng 14K. Kung 1 skill retake ka, magkano yun? 9K. Kung magpapa-recheck ka, 5K, isang skill. Do we all have the luxury of money? Maybe you do, yes. Let's say you do. But the thing is, sa nangyayari sa mundo ngayon, inflation and all, are we really going to waste thousands of pesos when we can allocate that money into some other more important things? Like other expenses, diba? Yung 5K na yun, ano din yun? 3 nail extension sessions. Grabe, napaka-practical mag-isip, ano? I'm just kidding. Alright, so puro kasi babae yung nandito. So sa mga nasa Zoom, kaya medyo iba yung approach ko. So do you get what I mean? You need to get a final assessment from your coaches, both in writing and in speaking. So we are asking you to submit at least 10 writing worksheets. Okay? Pwedeng 5 writing task 1, 5 writing task 2. Ipa-assess nyo sa mga coach nyo. Me, Sir Kevin, either. And sa coaching naman, sa speaking, hopefully nakapag-undergo ka ng at least 10 coaching sessions before you take the test. Right? Why? Why 10? Because if you pag paulit-ulit mong ginagawa, when you repeatedly do a specific task, you build familiarity. And when you build familiarity to a certain activity, you will certainly build confidence. And that's actually what you need for the interview. Maaring magaling ka na mag-English, maaring you're good with grammar, you have a good accent, clear pronunciation, but if you don't know what to anticipate, mabablanko at mabablanko ka. Magsa-stutter ka. I have students na nagpapa-coaching sa akin, nakatira sa UK. 2 decades. Pero nung inassess ko sa interview, nagsa-stutter. Ang daming delay. Ang daming dead air. Kasi, you need to get used to the setup of the interview. Because it's not like just a job interview. It's actually how you converse in English, how you speak naturally in English. And if hindi mo naman ginagamit yung English on a daily basis, how is your brain going to be wired up to speak English naturally, right? That's why we're asking you to attend at least 10 coaching sessions. Meaning, kung puspusan kang nag-aaral, weekly, magpapa-coaching ka. So, siguro naman hindi na, tapos na tayo sa era na papasok pa ako sa computer room, magpapalista pa ako kasi halos lahat napipilitan na lang magpa-coaching. But then, one of the students came to me and said, Ma'am, buti na lang pala, pinilit mo kaming magpa-coaching today because the feedback that I received and the time that I spent practicing, it's so productive. And it really is. Am I right, Joanne? Joe, I mean. Okay. By the way, Benica, we have Laika, Joe, Camille, and Raya. And she's Benica. Marunong siya mag-Tagalog. And English. Okay, so anyways, let's move on. So for the grading criteria of IELTS, we have IELTS speaking, fluency and coherence, 25%. Parang pageant lang, oh. Lexical resource, also known as vocabulary, is 25%. Grammatical range and accuracy, 25%. And finally, last but not the least, we have pronunciation, 25%. Let's quickly discuss each grading criteria. Fluency and coherence. This measures your ability to speak at length without excessive pausing, searching for words, or self-correction. It assesses the logical flow of your ideas, the use of discourse markers, and how well you connect sentences. We will be discussing a lot of discourse markers and techniques on how to connect your sentences later. I will be flashing a lot of examples on the screen. You don't have to write them down. You don't have to take photos or screenshots because a handout will be provided later. But if you feel like that's a better way for you to remember things, yes, you can write it down, okay? I'm just telling you in advance kasi meron naman din talagang handout later. Okay, so let's talk about fluency and coherence. Let me ask you, Camille. So tingin mo ba, pag yung isang test taker, mabilis siyang mag-English, mabilis naman siyang magsalita. Does that already equal to fluency?
Important that you also understand the person.
Yes, okay, that's actually correct, Camille. You're right about that. So, ang sagot ni Camille, no. Speed does not determine fluency.
Yes, because I do have a classmate before
Mhm.
when I was in college. She is fluent in English, but some of us can understand her.
Mm-hmm. Exactly the point. What's the use of talking to someone if hindi rin naman maintindihan yung sinasabi mo? Because communication is a two-way process. We have the sender and the receiver. If you are not able to send a clear message, the receiver won't understand the information. That's why speaking pace is very important when it comes to speaking. You have to maintain just the right amount of speed. Not too fast, not too slow. Para din sa'yo yan. Bakit? Why? Because when you speak too fast, the tendency is you make a lot of mistakes. In grammar, in pronunciation, kasi nabubulol-bulol ka. Namamali-mali ka ng pronunciation. Mind you, pronunciation is another 25% of your score. So, kung sa fluency at pronunciation, nagkakamali ka, tapos ang tendency pa ng mabilis mong pagsasalita, namamali ka pa ng vocab. Kasi, di mo na nafi-filter yung words sa isip mo eh. Kung ano-ano na lang talaga yung sinasabi mo for the sake of sounding good. Or feeling mo kasi yun yung nakaka-impress sa examiner pag mabilis ka magsalita, right? But actually, it's the other way around. When you talk too fast, you don't allow the other person to process the information right away. Meron akong ganong student. Sabi ko sa kanya, Gary, you have to be mindful of the person you're talking to because one, you have a very thick local South Korean accent. Your words are not so clear all the time. Your grammar is also crooked. So you have to take it slow if you want the other person to understand you. Si Eri, isa siyang marketing director ng JW Marriott Hotel in South Korea. Ang taas ang posisyon niya. Nagpapacoach siya sa akin ng English. Kasi ang nakakausap niya international individuals working internationally. So the same thing applies to the interview. If the examiner can't understand what you're saying or hindi niya nakukuha yung information because you're speaking too fast, then everything you're saying is useless. Diba? That's why it's very important that you also don't allow excessive pausing. Because yung sobrang bagal naman, nakaka-affect din yun. Nawawala ka sa train of thought. Diba? And at the same time, nako-confuse din yung kausap mo. Okay? So, coherence plays a very important role in speaking because if you sound like a robot because you're not using any transition words, ang weird din naman nun. Okay? Let's say I answer the question. Can you describe your family? I am married. I have a husband. He is 33. We don't have kids. We've been married for 8 years. Does it sound natural? Rather, it sounds robotic. Diba? Now, if you compare it with an answer na lalagyan natin ng transition words and signals, it would sound something like this. Well, I've been married for 8 years now, and I have a loving husband. Napaka-sarcastic, loving husband. We've been together for a total of 13 years. And we're happily married. We're enjoying our time. not having kids yet, but we're really hoping to have a baby soon. He's currently working at the hospital. He's an IT staff there. And I'm hoping that this small family of ours grows into a bigger one day. Now tell me, how does the first one sound different from the second one? Joe.
Second one sounds funny.
Mm-hmm. More natural and more conversational. Marami kasing nagkakaroon ng misconception that speaking should be an intellectual test that you should sound impressive. Yes, that's part of it. But that's not the whole thing. That's not the only thing that's being required. What is actually being required is for you to express your thoughts in the most natural way possible. Okay? And next we have lexical resource. Naniniwala ba kayo that you cannot give what you don't have? Right? You can't give what you don't have. So definitely, if you're not learning new words, if you're not adding new lexis in your vocabulary bank, ano sa tingin niyo yung gagamitin yung words when trying to express your thoughts in English? You can't use Filipino words. Of course not. This is an English assessment test. So definitely, you have to do something about it, especially if you feel like this is your weak area. What are the ways on how to improve your lexical resource? Kailangan po ba aralin ko yung buong dictionary? Kailangan ba mag-focus ako sa highfalutin words to make me sound like I can impress anyone I talk to? No, you don't have to. Use words na alam mo, na-anticipate mo pwedeng maging topic sa interview. We all know that task 1 of your speaking test is going to revolve around you, your likes, dislikes, your favorites, your family, your job, your major. Kaya naman, yun yung mga cluster of words na kailangan prepared ka. You know that one of the questions is about what's your favorite hobby? Then definitely, you have to know ano isasagot mo doon. My favorite hobby is art. I love anything related to art. Pero wala pala akong gamit na words kung gusto mong sabihin na art yung hobby ko. Kasi medyo mahirap yung mga words related sa art eh. So ngayon, pwede naman akong mag-white line ng konti. I love playing badminton on my free time. Especially because this sport is usually played among many Filipinos. It's low maintenance because you just have to find one partner and you can play badminton in an open field or in a closed court. You just basically need a badminton racket and a shuttlecock, maybe an extra one, if ever one of the shuttlecocks gets thrown somewhere unreachable. O, di ba? Parang ang dali lang i-explain ng badminton, pero kung pinili ko yung art na hobby ko, medyo mangangapa ako sa words kasi hindi pala ako ganun ka-equip pagdating sa topic na yun. Alright? That's why it's very important for you to undergo practice and coaching. And of course, the moment you start speaking in the interview, a few sentences pa lang, nag-gauge na ni examiner yung level mo. So kung may mga gagamitin kang words or idiomatic expressions that doesn't align to your level alam ni examiner yan. Kasi language experts na sila eh. Alam nila kapag medyo trying too hard ka, ganun. At alam din nila kapag master mo talaga yung paggamit. That's why, if wala ka naman sa high intermediate or advanced level speaker, wag mo lang i-attempt yung idiomatic expressions. Kasi baka magkamali ka lang ng paggamit. Mababawasan ka pa ng points sa lexical resource. Diba? Mababawasan ka din ng points sa grammar. 25%, 25%. Half of your score will go down, right? So it's not a smart decision. But if you have the luxury of time to improve your vocabulary bank, why not? There are many ways. Ang daming online sources nowadays. Wala nang makakapagbigay ng excuse na acceptable pagdating sa pag-enhance ng lexical resource because we have books, dictionaries online, YouTube. Ano pa ba yung iba yung ina-access na websites? Yung mga nirecommend ko, engu.com, right? TED-Ed, mostly intellectual, I'm sorry, not intellectual. The right term is educational materials. Kasi magagamit niyo yan sa task 3. Because on task 3, you will be asked questions that are high level of critical thinking skills and analytical thinking skills. And sana, meron kayong awareness about social news or social topics, global issues, right? How often do you watch the news? How often do you update yourselves with the latest trends? Pwede niyong bawasan yung mga bad habits niyo and pwede niyong palitan ng better habits. Diba? Kung babawasin mo lang ng 30 minutes ang pag-doom scroll mo sa cellphone mo and replace it with educational materials, 30 minutes a day, that will pile up. Okay? Create a habit of reading. Because again, you can't give what you don't have. Garbage in, garbage out. Meaning, kung ano yung ina-invest mo sa sarili mo, sa isip mo, yun din, it will come out of your mouth. Do you believe in that? Kung nagsistart lahat in your mind. Everything starts here. It eventually becomes your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become a habit. Eventually, your habit becomes your lifestyle. Then, that's the course of your life. So, if you feel like you're detecting some bad habits that you need to be changing today, then this is a wake-up call. And let's start with advancing your lexical resource, adding more words in your English vocabulary bank. Don't pressure yourself too much. Hindi naman kailangan ng 10 words a day. 1 to 2 words a day, that's gonna make a difference. Don't you think so? Okay. Paraphrasing. The reason why you need to improve your vocabulary is because you will be encountering a lot of paraphrasing in all the components of IELTS, not only in speaking. Okay? And one of the key areas in speaking is that you don't parrot the examiner's questions. Ano ibig sabihin nun, ma'am? Parroting, mocking, or inuulit mo lang. What's your favorite food? My favorite food is spaghetti, okay? Diba? It sounds so elementary when you parrot the examiner. But if you say something like, well, actually, I'm a foodie. I love exploring different cuisines. Diba? It sounds more professional. It sounds more nakaka-angat-angat sa life yung vocabulary natin, diba? So, when you show that you have a variation of words and you can paraphrase questions, your score in lexical resource will definitely skyrocket. Oh, naman sa skyrocket. Will definitely get higher, okay? And of course, we have grammar. Good news, when it comes to speaking, grammar is not that important. Please pay attention to the word that important. I'm just saying that it's not as important as it is in writing, but it's still important. Pero hindi sila ganun ka-particular pagdating sa grammar mistakes nyo sa speaking. Okay lang sa kanila magkaroon ka ng a few slips. Lalo na kung naiintindihan naman ng mabuti yung buong message mo. Okay? So we have what you call subtle mistakes or unnoticeable lapses, which you can commit. Don't try to correct yourself anymore. Nagkamali ka sa pronoun? Go on. Wag mo nang sabihin. Madalas kasi sasabihin ng test taker, sorry, he. Gaganon siya. For example, my grandmother is a wonderful lady. She's a very resilient woman. In fact, she lived during the war in 1920s. And she told me stories about how he was able to overcome all those challenges. Nagkamali ako sa he. Kasi I was talking about my grandmother, right? Pero okay lang yun. Move on tayo sa susunod na sentence. And we can say, she also showed me some of the photos that were taken in 1930s of her and her friends. Ganun, okay? So, sa grammar, gustong makita na marunong kang mag-handle ng iba't ibang discourse markers. And, of course, hindi ka lang nagsistick sa simple sentences. Minsan, gumawa ka naman ng compound sentence or ng complex sentence. Now, if you want a more intensive grammar lecture, pwede natin i-reset ulit sa Grammar 1 ng ating mga lectures. Pero feeling ko, hindi pa natin natatakal ulit yung Grammar 3. So, baka yun na yung next. And then we have pronunciation. It evaluates how easily you are understood, focusing on word stress, intonation, rhythm, and clear sound production, rather than having a native-like accent. A lot of test takers do have a native-like accent, but still, they can score 7.5, 8, kasi kahit na meron silang local accent, clear naman yung pag-pronounce sila ng words at malinaw naman yung message. Okay? So, actually, pronunciation is really important when it comes to speaking. Kasi ayaw mo namang ma-misinterpret ka dahil nasabi mong what do you love about that country? There are so many beautiful bitches there. Diba? Of course, kailangan maitama mo yung sasabihin mo, there are many beautiful beaches in Australia. That's why I would like to go there one day. Diba? Australiano pala yung babaeng examiner, tapos sinabihan mo, there are so many beautiful bitches there. So, syempre nakaka-offend yun, diba? So, ayaw naman nating mauwi sa ganong eksena. All right, so those are the 4 grading criteria. Again, we have fluency and coherence, lexical resource, grammar, and pronunciation. Now, I would like you to look at this photo of this man. Think of one word to describe this person. Yes, let's start with Laika. Confused. Okay. Sabi ni Raya, yun ang sagot ko eh. Nakuha pa ni Laika. I'm just kidding. Okay, Raya, how about you? Stressed. Okay. Benica?
Worried. He's worried.
Worried. Okay. Joe? Okay, what are other words synonymous to worried? Anxious. Naubusan naman na si ano. I'm just kidding, Camille. Exhausted. Ay, gusto ko yung accent ni Camille. Might feel exhausted. Sabi niya ganun. Okay, so all your answers are right. But maybe you can get a little more words from here. Mga Gen Z terms to. Menti B. Mental block. Ibig sabihin daw ng Menti B, mental block. Frazzled, uptight, uncomfortable, shell-shocked, wired, overwhelmed, tensed. These are the feelings that you feel once you undergo an interview. When was your first one-on-one coaching interview, Laika? And was it with me or with Sir Kevin? Me. It's okay, it's okay. But do you remember the feeling? How did you feel? Confident. How did you feel? Oh, sige. Kinakabahan daw si Laika. So, magtanong naman tayo sa mga nasa Zoom. Okay, Zyro, how about you? How did you feel on your first coaching with me? Last week lang yun. Zyro, are you there? Sige, si Valerie na lang. Are you listening, Valerie? Naka-mute kayo, so mag-unmute kayo, guys. Yes, Valerie. My question is, how did you feel on the very first interview, mock interview that we had? Very nonchalant ang mga Zoom participants. Nervous. Okay. Everything that you do for the first time, of course, it's normal to feel nervous. Kasi first time eh. When was your first time in a job interview or a college entrance exam interview? May ganun ba kayo? Kasi nung nag-a-apply ako for university, nagkaroon din kami ng interview nun eh. So, somehow, that's my first-hand experience when it comes to interviews. At syempre, kinakabahan ako. Yun talaga yung mafe-feel mo sa una, right? When was the first time that you tried something new, like traveling, solo traveling? Have you tried it? How did you feel? Were you confident at first?
It was a bit uncomfortable, but I get
Mhm.
used to it.
Mm-hmm. So how many times have you done it?
2 years in Australia.
Oh, okay. All right. So how about the others? Have you tried solo traveling? Like walang ibang kasama talaga in a foreign country. Okay, let's say just locally here or in your country. Have you tried it, Benica?
Yeah.
And how was it?
I was really tense at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I was traveling alone.
Mm-hmm.
It was my first time.
Where did you go, if I may ask?
And I think 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
when I think I was traveling to Canada at that time.
Oh, you went there alone.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. So that's your first
Yeah.
solo
That's
travel.
my first solo trip. Because whenever I travel with my family. That
Uh-huh.
was my first time. I was traveling alone and they were like full of students. And
Mm-hmm.
I get more like uncomfortable at that time.
Uh-huh.
Seeing them as nervous as well. I
Mhm.
get also nervous because they were also traveling as students.
Were you able to gain a few new friends during your
Like,
flight?
because
Uh-huh.
now they're my classmates.
Ah, they happen to be your classmates too.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
In the same college,
Mm-hmm.
but I am
Mm-hmm.
right now.
So after experiencing those things that you did for the first time and overcoming the fear, afterwards, the fear turned into confidence, right? So that's our goal. Sa una, may intimidate talaga kayo sa interviewer. Lalo na kung si Sir Kevin. A lot of students say that. Ayaw nila magpa-coaching kasi na-intimidate sila kay Sir Kevin. Hindi ko naman kayo tinatakot. Pero, hinahanda ko lang yung kalooban ninyo. But don't worry, he's nice. Okay, he's nice. Yeah. Yeah, okay, sure. He's nice and he's just gonna give you a very straightforward feedback. But then again, there are examiners with that kind of demeanor. So you have to get used to it. Di naman lahat ng examiner bubbly and nice like me. Inangat yung sarili, bubbly and nice. Tapos pagdating kay Sir Kevin, intimidating. Okay. But definitely, I'm trying to prepare your mind to what's gonna happen tomorrow. And I hope you can make it here tomorrow, okay? Di niyo ba siya na-miss? Okay. So let's have a quick 5-minute break. After that, magko-continue tayo, okay? You can get some water, toilet break, whatsoever. Okay, so we will first talk about the common mistakes with fluency and coherence. Ano ba yung mga frequently nagagawang mistakes ng mga test takers and how you can avoid them? So the first one is stuttering and fillers. Let me give you an example. Well, I've actually I've worked on similar projects before, but I think the most challenging part was managing the tight deadlines. Okay, so did you notice the stuttering there? Unlike without the stuttering and the fillers, it would sound something like, well, I've actually worked on similar projects before, but I think the most challenging part was managing the tight deadlines. Di ba, mas maganda pakinggan pag walang stuttering, walang fillers na like, yung mga words na unnecessary. Okay? Well, isa sa mga dahilan kung bakit tayo nagsistutter is sa sobrang kaba. That's why you have to know how to control your nervousness. There are many ways to do that. Physically, you can do that. Inhale, exhale deeply. And yun yung mga pwede mong gawin pag nandun ka na sa mismong scenario na yun. Clench some invisible muscles like your thigh or your biceps. Try to clench it a little bit. Tighten it para medyo mag-release ka ng tension. Okay? But may iwasan ng stuttering and fillers when you practiced the flow of the exam or the interview well enough. Okay? Kasi, ibig sabihin, yung train of thoughts mo, natural na lang. Okay? Because you know the questions that you can anticipate. You know the questions that will come out. Not all the questions, but you can confidently answer anything because you've prepared for it. That's why preparation is key. Okay? May mga taong madalas talagang nag-failures at saka nagsistutter. Lalo na if you're trying too hard not to commit those fillers. When you try too hard na iwasan yung isang bagay, the more likely you are to do it. Kaya wag mo masyadong i-overthink. Okay? Don't overdo it. Don't overthink it. That's why you have to relax. You have to have a well-maintained demeanor. Okay? So, another reason is you're unable to link words, phrases, and sentences to form an idea because you lack knowledge of linking words and discourse markers. For example, yung mga words na after that, afterwards, later on, Puro na lang ang nilalagay and, hindi na natapos yung sentence. For example, the question is, what's your favorite travel destination? I think I want to go to Japan. I heard that the food there is really delicious, and I also heard that the people there are so nice, and I heard that I can also visit a lot of local places, and I heard that, di ba? Ang pangit pakinggan po puro and. So, unnecessary words kasi yun, and plus your grammatical structure will be noticeable. Wrong grammar structure, okay? Uncomfortable, nervousness, and self-conscious. Palaging tumatakbo sa isip nyo, magkakamali ako. Or, mapapansin ni examiner na magkakamali ako. Or yung mapapansin niya yung mga mali ko. Pag ino-overthink mo yung mga ganyang bagay, mawawala ka sa alignment ng gusto mong sabihin. Kasi mas iniisip mo kung paano kanya i-judge at i-assess. Marami sa inyo, natatakot magpa-coaching kasi ma'am, natatakot akong ma-judge. Well, basically, that's the whole point of all this. You need to be criticized so that we can check. Ano ba yung kailangan mong ayusin sa speaking mo? Diba? Kasi if we don't undergo the coaching sessions, how will we know? How will we identify those errors, right? And then we have limited vocabulary, right? Yung bigla kang mapapahinto kasi hindi mo na alam yung gusto mong sabihin na next. Or biglang hindi mo maisip yung word na gusto mong gamitin for that particular sentence or example. Kaya what do you call that? Kadalasan na mapapagano yung mga students or ano nga yun? Mapapagulong pa ng Tagalog. Okay? So, para maiwasan yung mga yon, make sure na ililimit mo lang yung mga sagot mo sa mga topics na confident kang pag-usapan. Huwag mo siyang ida-direct sa isang topic na alam mong wala kang baon na weapon. Okay? Your weapon in this kind of situation is your vocabulary and lexical resource. So make sure that you're fully equipped. Okay? So the solution for that is to read more and to observe English speakers. Personally, I don't like reading. Honestly, I don't like reading. Kaya naman, I change my technique, my strategy. I listen to podcasts. Medyo masasabi kong mas gusto ko yung listening kaysa sa reading. Why? Because I can multitask. While I'm cleaning, while I'm doing a paperwork, nakikinig ako and I achieve two things at once. You know the saying, hitting two birds with one stone? Pero depende sa'yo yun. Kasi hindi lahat ng tao kayang mag-focus like me. Parang yabang ko naman sa partner. What I mean is, medyo nasanay na kasi ako because my other job entails me to do so. While I'm talking to my students, I also encode their mistakes while we're talking, and I need to multitask when doing that. Or else I will end up replaying the audio and then listing down all the mistakes na sinabi niya, which is not time efficient for me. Okay? It adds more to my job, and plus, mawawalan ako ng oras sa iba pang kailangan ko pang gawin. Right? It's not time efficient. Kaya naman, pinractice ko talaga na mag-multitask. When I'm doing something else, I turn on the TV or nagpa-play ako ng any criminal case na gusto kong pakinggan at aralin. Kasi you know, awareness nowadays is power, right? Awareness is a weapon that you can use to protect yourself. Kaya naman, ganun ako ka-productive when I'm at home. Sabi ko nga, baka ikaw, mas gusto mong nag-focus ka sa reading. Kasi iba pa rin naman yung binibigay mo yung 100% focus mo sa isang bagay. But the good thing about reading materials online, they also provide audio files na pwede mong i-play. Diba? So, depende na sa iyo yun kung anong bet mo sa life. Okay? Unclear question. Ayan, paano naman ba kung hindi ko pala masyadong naintindihan yung tanong? Or, kailangan ko pala ng clarification. What do you do in this kind of situation? Well, one of the best things that you could do, firsthand, listen attentively to the examiner. Hindi yung habang nagtatanong siya kung saan-saan ka naka-focus, syempre, mawawala ka. Okay, so kailangan you listen. And now, if there's the slightest doubt na hindi mo naintindihan yung sinabi niya, you can ask for repetition. You can ask the examiner to repeat. Actually, that's the only question that you can ask. Can you please repeat the question? Hindi ka magtatanong ng what? Pardon? Hindi ganun, okay? Of course, you have to sound polite and professional, so you have to ask using a complete question and a complete sentence. I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Could you say it again? Or can you please repeat the question? Just say it in the most polite way possible. Kasi ikaw na nga lang itong nakikiusap, hindi mo ba aayusin, di ba? So, syempre, you can be judged subjectively since this is human. The interviewer is a human, so probably if magpakita ka ng medyo off na attitude, I'm not saying that i-score na nila yung off mong attitude, but somehow it can affect, right? Kahit naman sino if you talk to me in a very negative aura, with a negative aura, parang nakaka-affect din yun sa judgment ko as a person, di ba? Because you could have done it in a nice way. So, may mga time talaga na hindi ka magiging familiar ever sa topic na lalabas. It's okay. You can be honest about it. You can just say, I apologize, but I am not knowledgeable about this particular matter. But don't worry, as soon as I get home, I'll do my research. Doesn't that sound better? Rather than, pinipilit mong sagutin yung tanong, ang dami ng pasikot-sikot, pero hindi mo pa rin matumpok yung gusto mong sabihin. Kasi, bottom line, hindi mo naman talaga alam yung sagot. Nagpapanggap ka lang, right? Of course, it's not an intellectual test. So definitely, if ever man dumating sa sitwasyon na hindi mo talaga alam kung ano isasagot mo, it's okay. Just be honest about it. In fact, one of the students scored an 8.5 in speaking by doing that. Mark Angelo, wala siya dito. He's in Australia right now. Ba't ka updated na? Nakikita ko sa Facebook eh. Anyways. So, these are the common linking words discourse markers. May mga examples na rin ako nilagay dito. Sobrang dami niyan. Hindi ko i-cover lahat. Pwede nyo siyang aralin on your own. Pero try natin yung iba. Okay? Let's practice. When you're introducing your opinion, as I said, iwasan nating i-parrot yung question. That's why you can use this introductory phrases. I guess people spend too much time on social media these days. I think learning a new language can be challenging but rewarding. I feel that traveling broadens your perspective. Opinion-based, okay? And now, this is a little bit higher level kasi ito medyo soft yung dating eh. I guess, I think, I feel. But if you use a different approach, such as, in my opinion, I believe, from my point of view, or personally, Doesn't it sound a little more reliable pakinggan? Medyo nakakaangat-angat ka pagdating sa Lexis mo or sa gusto mong sabihin. Kasi gumamit ka ng ganitong klaseng introductory phrases. Kapag sinabi ko lang, I guess, meron pang halong pagdududa yan eh, I guess. Hindi ka baka 100% sure sa sinasabi mo. But if you say, from my point of view, stronger, right? It makes you sound more believable and reliable. Pero meron pang mas strong dyan. Ito talaga yung na-reach mo na yung peak of confidence. Okay? So you can use introductory words, phrases such as I strongly believe. Ito, ginagamit tong mga to. I'm convinced that, there's no doubt that, it seems clear to me that. This is used when you are asked about your opinion. And most of the time, in speaking, when you are asked about your opinion, you have to stand your ground. Meaning, maging consistent ka sa isang side lang. If you agree on it the whole way, all the way through. If you disagree on it, give reasons and examples to substantiate your answer. This is applicable when you are on task 3. Kasi dito talaga maraming mga tanong na itetest talaga yung kung strong ka or consistent ka pagdating sa opinions mo. Okay? And since we already discussed the introductory phrases, we will give a few tips that you could use. Vary your opinion starters in the exam. Don't repeat I think in every sentence. Kaya nga nag-provide ako ng more options for you kasi pwede mong gamitin yung I think sa una and then pwede mong gamitin yung personally or in my opinion sa pangalawa naman. And then probably if you really have a strong side, these are the ones that you could use, right? Ipag-interchange, pwede mong gamitin yan para mapakita mo sa examiner na you are equipped with more. Okay? Hindi lang puro I think. Kasi kadalasan, yun lang talaga yung masasabi niyo eh, I think. So, you have to first give your direct answer. Ayaw ng examiners ng paligoy-ligoy na sagot. Gusto nila, give me a direct answer first, give me the reason, and top it off. Parang dish lang eh. Top it off with an example to score higher, okay? So this is one good example. I think studying abroad is beneficial because it allows you to experience different cultures. For example, I met students from 5 countries in my exchange program. So, nag-agree siya that studying abroad is beneficial. Ang binigay niya na reason, because it enables students to experience different cultures. Tama ba yun, Benica? Kasi may experience na siya sa pag-aaral abroad eh. Okay. And of course, ang example na binigay niya ay related sa reason na binigay niya. Siyempre, hindi ka magbibigay ng example na hindi naman related dun sa binigay mong reason. It has to be parallel to it. That's why, ang sabi niya, I met students from 5 multiple countries in my exchange program. Related siya sa reason na experiencing different cultures. Tama ba? Okay. Now let's move on to introducing reasons. The first batch, our discourse markers were introducing opinions. And this time, we will be introducing reasons. Okay? Pag nagre-reason out ka. So, sa IELTS kasi hindi pwedeng isang tanong, isang sagot lang. Are you currently working or studying? I'm not working, but I'm studying English and I'm preparing for IELTS nowadays. Magandang sagot ba yun? Yes or no? May mga tumango, may mga umiling. Why do you think it wouldn't be good to disclose the fact that you're studying IELTS right now? Confident ka naman. I'm studying IELTS right now. I'm preparing for my test. I quit my job so that I can focus on IELTS. Diba? Ang ganda naman pakinggan talaga nun. But the thing is, you might be in the hot seat if that happens, right? Gigisain ka kasi. Since nalaman niya, nagpe-prepare ka pala for IELTS, I might as well ask you the most rare questions ever. Tapos bigla kang tinanong, why do you think water buffaloes are becoming extinct in the Southeast Asia? Di ba? Uy, natatanong yung mga ganun yung mga about animals and extinction and endangerment. One of my students said that. Okay? I mean, after niya mag-exam, sinabi niya sa akin na yun yung lumabas sa exam niya. And if you search it, yun din na talaga ang lumalabas nowadays. Okay? So, maghanda kayo. Prepare. So, when you're introducing reasons, these are simple and very natural words that you could use because. Ito pinaka-common, pero gamit na gamit. Because kailangan mong mag-reason out all the time. Hindi pwedeng, I'm studying right now. Hindi mo kailangan antayin si examiner na mag-follow-up question. I'm currently studying. I'm taking up nursing because I aspire to be a health worker in Australia one day. First, because I've heard that the compensation is stable and good. And the work environment there is also much more sustainable compared to the Philippines. And of course, it's one of my dreams in life to be a nurse in Australia. I would like to show my care and love for the people in Australia. Napaka-charotera naman talaga ng sagot, no? Pero, kung kaya mo naman talagang ganunin, di ba? Why not? And this is a little more developed, or for higher band, you can use these expressions. The main reason is that, one reason is, tapos pwede kang mag-follow up na, another reason, and lastly, that's why, ayan. Pero, if gusto mo ng band 7, 8, 9, ito yung dapat na introductory phrases na gagamitin mo. One of the main reasons is that public transport produces traffic. Siyempre, pag sinabi mong one of the main reasons, kailangan sundan mo pa yan ng pangalawa, di ba? Mas maganda yon. More reasons, more examples on task 3 to show your level of, knowing how to handle various grammar structures or sentence structures. Okay. It's mainly due to, pero wag kayong ma-pressure ha, kasi kung hindi naman kayo band 7 pataas, okay lang naman na gumamit ng mas simple. I'm just showing you this, that if ever you want to level up your discourse markers, all right? Tip, expound your answers. Examiners like clear answers. Direct answer, and of course, an explanation. So these are for fluent spoken people. That's probably because it has a lot to do with, partly because it's cheap and partly because it's convenient. O, di ba? Ang ganda pakinggan kaysa gumagamit lang ng simple grammar structure. Such as, one, it's cheap, and second, it's convenient. Pero pag ginamitan mo ng partly because, parang biglang umaangat agad yung level mo, no? Pag gumagamit ka ng ganyang discourse markers. Okay, so this is a tip. A strong answer is an opinion plus a reason plus a small example. I think online learning is effective because it allows students to study at their own pace. For example, working students can watch recorded lessons at night. I think ito na yung last batch, introducing results of something. Sometimes you will be asked questions such as, what do you think are the repercussions of heavy traffic? What do you think are the consequences of being late all the time? Okay, so you can use this. So that's why, as a result, because of this leads to, this results in. Why do you think there is overpopulation in the metro? One of the reasons why a lot of individuals are testing their luck in the metro and looking for better opportunities in the metro is because they are not offered better options in their provinces. And the rate of the salary is much lower compared to the metro. This results in overpopulation in most big cities, such as in Manila, Makati, Ortigas, BGC. Diba? Ang ganda, nakakaangat talaga ng level ng structure mo kapag this results in, kinanaan mo ng ganun. Ano? Grabe yung word. Okay, you get what I mean, right? Okay, next. More developed or for higher band 7 pataas, we can use consequently. Public transport is limited. Consequently, people rely on cars. Consequently is parallel to as a consequence, as a result, which means that. Okay? Pakinggan nyo naman yung mga example sentences na to. The company cut costs. As a consequence, some workers lost their jobs. Kumpara sa, when the company limited their budget, some workers lost their jobs. Pero pag dinagdagan mo ng as a consequence, ang strong ng dating. Diba? Again, depende yun sa band level mo ngayon. Hindi mo naman kailangang ipilit ang mga bagay-bagay kung wala ka pa doon. Malay mo naman dumating tayo sa band 7 pataas. Okay? Pero if nandun ka naman na sa level na yon, why not? Make use of this. Very natural spoken. And this means, so the result is, in the long run. Ayan. Favorite ko tong in the long run. Kasi I always think ahead. Like, everything that you do now will affect your life. Okay? Like, health-wise, the decisions, your diet now, your physical fitness exercises now will result to a better lifestyle in the long run. Diba? Ang ganda niya pakinggan. To sound fluent, chain ideas smoothly. Kailangan natural siya pakinggan at kailangan alam mo kung kailan mo gagamitin yung mga discourse markers na yun. Kasi baliwala lang yung paggamit mo kung mali rin naman yung arrangement ng sentences. It would just sound awkward at pilit. So, this is an example. I think public transport should be improved because it reduces traffic. And as a result, cities become less polluted. Very neat, diba? Okay. Ay, hindi pa pala yun yung last batch. Ito pala yung last batch. Expressing uncertainty. What does uncertainty mean? Hesitation? You're not 100% sure? It happens. Right? Sometimes nangyayari yun, yung parang hindi ka sure kung ano talaga yung isasagot mo. That's why it's okay. You're just human. You don't have to be sure about everything. Sometimes you're confused too, and it's normal. Okay? It's part of being human. Huwag tayong masyadong harsh sa sarili natin na laging alam natin yung sagot, di ba? Perhaps. Lalo na, nagagamit to when the question is in hypothetical case. Ano yun, ma'am? Yung hypothetical. Yun yung what if, right? Hindi pa nangyayari, pero posibleng mangyari. It's an ideal thing that could happen. For example, the question is, describe an ideal vacation with your family. Maraming test takers, ang akala nila, ang gagawin dapat nila ay magkwento ng prior experience nila sa travel with family. But listen to the question carefully. Describe an ideal vacation with your family. So it means this is a hypothetical question asking you to talk about something that you see that will happen in the future, or you're imagining it, or you're planning it. Pero hindi pa nangyayari. Kaya naman ang gagamitin mo ay future tense. Hindi ka magkikwento ng prior experience. Ang ikikwento mo, ang i-express mong ideas ay yung mga gusto mong mangyari. Travel-wise, let's say the topic is about traveling, okay? One of the reasons why I am really committed to pursue a job abroad is because I know that having a better source of income will make me more financially stable. Perhaps when the time comes that I have more than enough, I would treat my whole family in a Hong Kong tour. Of course, Disneyland is included. I got it, okay? So these are the words that you could use. Do you think that the educational curriculum in the Philippines will be improved in the near future? It's hard to say. Very applicable, no? It's hard to say, but we are all hoping for the best. Siguro gano'n na lang din yung isasagot natin, ano? Kasi hindi na rin talaga natin alam kung may pag-asa pa ba itong bansa na. I'm just kidding. Nabalitaan niyo ba yung mga nangyayari sa Senado nowadays? Oh my gosh. I'm so stressed about it. Huwag na natin pag-usapan dito. There's a chance that one day, the Philippines will be corrupt-free. Vote for Mayor Vico. Kilala niyo si Mayor Vico? Yeah. Sana marami pang katulad niya, no? Because I really believe in him. I believe na isa siya sa mga tapat at totoong politiko at leaders ng ating bansa. I'm rooting for him na sana ma-position siya sa mabigyan siya ng magandang position in the Philippines. Siguro president? Pero sa ngayon kasi, he's still in the training ground. So baka hindi pa sapat yung experiences niya, yung knowledge niya, and baka pwedeng pag-asawahin muna natin siya. Sayang naman kasi, di ba? Ang gwapo-gwapo ni Mayor Vic. Anyway, sayang jeans. Okay. Next, okay lang naman na may, hindi naman porket speaking to, bawal na yung, pwede yan. Pero ilulugar lang natin. Pwede siya sa umpisa, like, well, I think the country that I would like to visit one day is Italy. I've always been dreaming of exploring the streets of Venice. My streets of Venice. Di ba? Ano Nandun yung mga bangka-bangka. Mali. Ulit. I've been dreaming of exploring the beautiful place of Venice. And probably I could ride one of their boats. Huwag mo nang ipilit yung word na exact word. Hindi ko rin alam kasi yung exact word na ano eh. That's a difficult question, but I think if I could choose between Japan and South Korea, I'd go for Japan because I've heard so much good feedback about their cuisine, about their culture, and I'm hoping that one day I could experience it myself. Okay. Showing uncertainty is good, especially in part 3, because it's normal for you not to always be sure about those topics. It sounds realistic, it shows language control, it helps you avoid wrong or overconfident answers. Okay. I think we're done. Now we will talk about ideas that lack organization or when your ideas are too many. Naranasan nyo na yan? Yung isang tanong lang, what's your favorite food? Sinigang, adobo, apritada. Ang dami, agad-agad, di ba? Hindi mo alam kung ano isasagot mo. So, kailangan paghandaan. Again, wag mo nang isagot yung sinigang kung hindi mo rin naman alam yung Tagalog ng okra, ng English ng okra, at saka English ng gabi. Diba? My favorite food is sinigang. It's actually a very popular Filipino dish. It's usually cooked in tamarind broth. It could be chicken sinigang. Most of the time, we use pork as the main ingredient, and it's also incorporated with different vegetables such as tomatoes, onions, ladyfingers, okra yun, taro, gabi yun, radish, and string beans. And some people who like it spicy, they would add green peppers. Ang hirap, no? Sige nga, kabisaduhin niyo lahat ng sinabi ko na yun. Gusto niyo pa bang sinigang yung favorite food niyo? Siyempre, hindi na. Siguro mas madali na lang if ang sagot mo, my favorite food is roast chicken. O, di ba? Automatic na isip na niya agad yung roast chicken. Baka nga nag-crave pa siya at that very moment eh. I love roast chicken because it's a very versatile dish. You can pair it with rice. Some people pair it with mashed potato. And some people pair it with pasta, Alfredo, right? Na di ba ang ganda pakinggan? Yung roast chicken na akala mo simple, pwede mo pala siyang i-elaborate in a better way. That's why you have to know what you want. Mga babae pa naman napaka-indecisive. Ay, adobo na lang isasagot ko. Di ba? Maya-maya, ay parang mas madali yata yung sabi ni Ma'am, roast chicken. So make up your mind. That's why you have to undergo 10 coaching sessions at least para naman alam mo na kung ano talaga yung gusto mo sa buhay. Now, these are techniques on how you can organize your ideas. The first one is in chronological order. Na-correct ko na ba yung okay. Yung number 3, hindi ko pa rin nako-correct yung spelling. I'm so sorry. So, chronological order, spatial order, this is supposed to be causal. Cause and effect, okay? Problem, solution order, and topical order. Okay, let me explain that. One by one. Are you aware of the root word chrono? Chrono in Greek means time. Logical means my system, right? So, chronological order of explanation is applied when you're being asked to describe a series of events. For example, let's talk about your daily routine. Or let's talk about your career. Siyempre, uumpisahan mo yung unang nangyari sa career mo, and then you will start talking about your second job and your most recent job. Mas organized kasi pakinggan kung may susundan kang chronological order kaysa sa wala. For daily routine, of course, you have to talk about general things that you do in the morning, in the afternoon, and evening. Yun lang naman yung tatlong main parts of the day, right? Kung may mga ginagawa ka pa sa madaling araw, at night owl ka, pwede naman. Depende kasi sa yun. Kasi I don't know your routine. But I think I would answer that by saying, I'm very proud of myself because recently I have become an early bird. I automatically wake up at 6 a.m. without an alarm. Napaka-OA. Pero totoo yun, guys! Ang proud ko sa sarili ko, nagigising na ako ng 6 a.m. ngayon. Dati kasi gising ko 10, 11. Wala tuloy akong masyadong na-accomplish. But since I'm in a better mental space, yeah, I'm in a better mental space this 2026. And finally, I'm an early bird. So I wake up at 6 in the morning. First thing I do is I make sure that I drink some water to start my digestive metabolisms, stuff like that. And then I make myself a detox drink. Detox drink. Okay. If you want the recipe, I'll tell you later. And then I make my breakfast. My breakfast is either oatmeal, overnight oats, or boiled eggs. Just to, to keep me full because I need to do 1 hour walking in the morning when I'm not here. Okay. So in the morning, I do 1 hour walking. Simulan ko na nga ulit sa umpisa. Ang dami kasing ads eh. Okay, again. Well, I'm very proud of myself because nowadays I have become a morning person. I can wake up at 6 a.m. without an alarm. And first thing I do, I get my digestive system started by drinking water, eating breakfast, and a 1 hour walk. And then after that, I would look for something to clean in the house because I have heard that neat or household chores would help you burn more calories. And then after that, I would prepare for my lunch, have lunch on time. And I usually start my online classes at around 3 p.m. So I make sure that before I start my online classes, I take a shower, I prepare, I read some articles. And after that, I would do several classes and then resume with another 30-minute cardio or sometimes muscle training workout at home with my trainer. But we just do it on a virtual setup. And then I prepare for dinner. I have more online classes in the evening. And after that, I would just do my skincare. And that's it. I end my day after skincare, of course. Yun yung chronological order. How about spatial order? Okay. From the word itself, spatial, we're talking about space, right? So, when you're asked to describe your hometown, pwedeng you describe it in geographical way. Pero kung nahihirapan ka sa ganon, wag na. Pwede mo na lang siguro sabihin yung mga main industries or yung mga tourist attractions, yung mga sikat na businesses sa hometown mo, or kung ano man yung sikat doon, maganda din yun. And probably, you can use the spatial order when you are asked to talk about your residence. Kasi isa yun sa mga common topics, right? Why don't please describe your house or your home? Ang ganda nung example na binigay ni Benica last time. Kasi she didn't only talk about the structure of her house or the apartment in Canada. She also mentioned kung gaano ka-livable yung place na tinitirhan niya. And I think that's part of describing your home. Diba? Kasi home is a place where you feel like you can have access to the things that you need. And she described it as a place na naka-center siya sa mga stores and the facilities, plazas, na nakaka-help sa kanya, and even near the school, right? Okay, so when it comes to describing your home, let's start with general facts first. I live in a two-story house. We have a big front yard. Unfortunately, our backyard is a little bit less spacious, just enough for my mom's garden. Our front yard can fit two vehicles comfortably. And our house has 4 bedrooms, 2 on the first floor and 2 on the second floor. My room is located on the second floor, my favorite part of the house, of course, because I basically do everything in my room. I work, I study there, I work out there as well. And it's my privacy. I have my privacy in my room. But I would like to talk about the main feature of our house, which is the living area. We have a very nice entertainment setup. We have an 85-inch TV and our own karaoke setup. So whenever we have parties at home, we would invite over some guests and friends, family, and our living area can comfortably fit up to 20 individuals. So we don't get to disturb the neighbors whenever we're having a party. And one other thing that I love about our house is we have so many beautiful indoor plants, which add to the aesthetic of the whole house. Invento ko lang lahat yun. Halata ba? Oh, ganun yung pag-describe. Okay? Umpisahan muna natin sa general facts and then get into the details and focus on 2 to 3 parts of your house that you would like to work on, if you would like to talk about. Okay? Causal order is when you're being asked about the cause and effect of something. What do you think is the main causes? What do you think are the main causes of heavy or traffic congestion in the metro? Can you give one, Laika?
Narrow.
Oh, okay. So Laika is talking about lack of well-made infrastructure. Tama ba? Well-made. Lahat talaga sa Philippines hindi well-made. Okay, so yeah, that's one. How about another one, Camille? Okay, so excessive vehicles, right? Or is that also linked to overpopulation? Yeah, we could also say that overpopulation. How about Benica? Public transport. Yes. Lack of proper facilities when it comes to public transport. Kaya naman, hindi rin maganda, di ba? Kasi kung maganda in the have you been to Manila? Of course, right? Did you see the situation there? Yung bago ka makasakay ng MRT, kailangan mo munang maglapot-lapot doon kasi siksikan, parang sardinas talaga. No? Lalo naman na nung nag-hike yung price ng diesel at saka gasoline. Akala ko nga when lumos kasi kami like a few weeks ago, I was expecting it to be like that. Hindi naman na ganun kagrabe, pero ganun pa rin kagrabe kasi we had to like wait in a long queue before we were able to enter the escalator. Hindi mo siya titigil. Parang sama ng tingin ni Camila. Just kidding. Just kidding. So, ayun na nga. Sobrang pangit talaga ng public transport sa Manila. So, pero Ang good side naman nun, naka 15K steps ako effortlessly. Right? So, problem solution. What do you think could be a solution to teenage pregnancy? Um, Raise awareness, implement sex ed in schools, and birth control. I mean, I'm sorry, baka kasi yung iba, hindi kayo pro sa birth control, baka sa religion nyo or whatever. So, no offense intended, okay? Pero isa lang yun sa mga reasonable ways on how to prevent teenage pregnancy. Okay? And then topical order. Sometimes the questions would be like, what do you think are the qualities of a good educator? Maganda sana kung mag-list down ka na agad ng 3 qualities. Kung gusto mo 2, pero wag naman isa. Kasi ang tanong, what are the qualities? It's in plural form. So sana isip ka ng more than 1, okay? 2 or more would be good. Definitely, a good educator should be professional. What else? Optimistic and reputable. Now that you've thought of those 3, reason out and give examples. That's how you do the topical order. Okay? Any questions? Am I going too fast or the pacing is okay? Bakit bang nonchalant nyo? Okay. I'm trying it to be more interactive para hindi kayo antukin. So are you sleepy or hindi naman? All right, next common mistake is hesitation and self-correction. Well, I'm not entirely sure, but I think social media is helpful. Actually, helpful for communication because it allows people to stay connected easily. Okay? So parang hindi ka sure sa gusto mong sabihin. The thing here is, choose one side and stick to it. Ayaw ng examiner ng paligoy-ligoy or pabago-bago ka ng sagot. Mas gusto niya, choose one side and stick to it. Choose one answer and substantiate it, expound it. Okay? Ayan. Most of the most common feedback that I hear from students, ma'am, di kasi ako sure sa word na gusto kong gamitin or kung tama ba yung pag-construct ko ng sentences. Have you been in that situation? Na parang you're confused? Yes or no? Sometimes yes. Because may time din naman na may mental block tayo, right? So, it's much better if you make a mistake right there and there, just do not highlight it. Hayaan mo lang siya. Okay? Kasi the more that you correct yourself, the more emphasis you put to the mistake that you did. Okay? Kumbaga, hayaan mo na muna siyang lumipas. Changing answers in the middle of speaking. Listen attentively is the key so that you can generate answers while the questions are being asked. Okay? If you are inconsistent with your answers, it also affects your fluency. Kasi, baka ang isipin ng examiner, hindi mo agad naintindihan yung tanong. Okay? So stop changing your answers, be decisive, and be sure of what you want to say. Long pauses and keeping quiet. This will only happen if hindi ka nakapag-practice. This will only happen if on the spot na mental block ka. Have you ever experienced that? Na mental block? Really? Ako kasi never. I'm just kidding. Wait lang. Parang hindi ko pa na-experience na mental block sa exam or sa any kind of situation. So, how does it feel to be mental block? Yung alam mo naman yung gusto mong sabihin at isagot, pero wala talagang lumalabas. How does it feel?
Yes. Devastated that time.
You were devastated?
Stressed.
So, what was the question?
Like in education, like when you're preparing for exams.
Ah, okay, okay. So, was it like a written test?
Yeah.
Ah, you knew, you studied for it, but all of a sudden you forgot it.
Sometimes the question is not what you have studied.
Ah,
That's what it makes you mental block.
ah.
Like thinking that answer for that question that you have not studied yet
Mhm.
is that makes you a mental block.
Mm. Pwede rin naman excessive nervousness. Have you experienced that? Kasi, one time, may student kami dito. I think this was 2 years ago. Masipag siya umattend ng coaching. Masipag din naman siya pumunta dito. And he prepared for like 6 months. Or more than that. Pero, at saka yung evaluation ko sa kanya, mataas yung nagiging score niya because he's really an intelligent man. Pero nagulat kami na hindi pa rin niya nakuha yung band score na gusto niya. At we heard na iba pala siya pag sa actual. Parang sobrang naglo-lose. Sobra kakaiba yung mental block niya. Kasi sa mga mock interviews namin, he was doing really well. Pero iba yung hit sa kanya ng anxiety. Pag tinamaan na ng anxiety, parang biglang nawawala na talaga siya. Although, magaling siya, he can communicate well, he has the skills. I don't know how to explain that kasi nga hindi ko pa naranasan. Siguro kasi I'm a very optimistic person. So, hindi ako masyadong nadadala ng kaba or kung ano man, okay? I mean, in academic situations Pero syempre, in life, meron din naman ako mga sabaw moments. At parang natatameme na lang talaga ako. So anyways, if you could share anything that you would like to share in order for you to avoid long pauses or keeping quiet. Do you have any? Because this is basically something that you have to avoid in the interview. You can't keep quiet. It's a speaking test. It diminishes the purpose of a speaking test because you kept quiet, right? When you're supposed to be speaking. Okay. Trying to come up with impressive answers. Okay, you don't have to. Your goal is not to impress the examiner. Your goal is to sustain a good flow of a conversation. Have you subscribed to IELTS Advantage on YouTube? Did I recommend that? Or noon ka pa nanonood? Yeah, that's good. If you haven't subscribed there yet, please do so. IELTS Advantage. Yun yung name ng YouTube channel. The only thing that the coach says there, just use conversational English. Sustain a good conversation. Speak naturally. You don't have to use highfalutin words to impress the examiner. Okay? Kung ano yung baon nyo that day, yun na yun. Pero make sure na may baon, ha? Kasi baka naman, porket sinabi ni ma'am kung ano lang talaga yung meron, yun na yun. Hindi na kayo naghanda. Syempre, maghahanda. Pero don't be too harsh on yourself. Kapag andun ka na sa situation na talagang yun lang yung magagamit mong words, then make use of the most basic ways, basic words that you have. in order for you to express your ideas in a more successful way, right? Distracted daydreaming, thinking about test results. Okay. Daydreaming. We want to emphasize the fact that when it comes to a week before the examination date or a day, 24 hours prior to your test, you have to make sure that you're in a good mental space. Okay? Huwag muna mag-entertain ng mga toxic people sa buhay. Kung pwedeng i-cut off temporarily or permanently, why not? Right? Because taking the IELTS test, one thing I realized, you have to be holistically prepared. Physically, kailangan walang sumasakit sa katawan mo. Like, your headache will cause some distractions. Your lack of sleep will definitely will make you lose focus. And daydreaming, konting distraction lang sa listening, you can miss out on one answer and then miss out on the whole thing. At 10 points pa naman yung isang buong audio, di ba? Can you really afford to lose all those points? At tas naka 3 points, 5 points ka lang din dun sa iba. O, kamusta naman? So, focus. If malayo yung bahay nyo, book a stay for a night dito malapit sa testing center o kung saan mang testing center ka naka-book, right? Thinking of better or appropriate words. Okay, paulit-ulit na lang tayo dito. Short answers. Ayan. Sumasagot lang ng isang word. Yes, I'm working. Tapos titigan na lang kayo ng examiner. Because the examiner is expecting you to expand on it. So you're supposed to be like, yes, I'm currently working. I actually have a full-time job and 2 other part-time jobs. Hindi, ikaw na. 3 jobs. Sabi na examiner, just kidding. So, avoid answering one-word answers and one-sentence answers. As much as possible, be talkative, pero wag naman sa point na sobrang dami mo nang dinaldal na off-topic ka na. Meron kasing ganyan. Kahapon lang, meron akong student na kina-coach. Kasi nag-subscribe siya sa akin. Hindi siya nag-subscribe. Nag-avail siya ng online. Nasa UK kasi siya ngayon. So, one-on-one kami. Dami niyang kinuwento. Bandang dulo, hindi na relevant sa tanong eh. Always make sure na yung sagot mo, align pa siya sa tanong. Pwede ka naman magdagdag eh. Just make sure na hindi lilihis. Kaya nung minsan, ang tanong sa kanya sa task 2 is describe your favorite book. And then yung sagot niya, I remember I received a book as a wedding gift. Pero mas pinag-usapan, mas diniscuss niya yung wedding. Pero ang tanong kasi, what's your favorite book? Pwede lang additional lang yung about sa wedding, pero hindi dapat doon magfo-focus. Dapat mag-focus tayo sa book. Why is it your favorite? What was the book about? Who is the author of the book? Ang daming pwede. What genre of books are you into? Or what are the other genres that you read? 'Di ba? Basta, intindihin mabuti yung tanong bago sumagot para hindi tayo na off topic. Because the relevance of your answer can directly affect your score. Okay? Answering yes or no, kadalasan sa mga walang kaalam-alam about IELTS, ganito yung, pero kayo naman, I know, you won't end up doing this, right? Now, maraming nagsasabi, ma'am, ang haba naman ng 2 minutes para sa task 2. It's actually not. Ang iksi lang ng 2 minutes. Kung magaling ka sa storytelling, di ba? Yun lang naman yung key sa task 2 eh. Tell a story of your own experience. At marami ka nang masasabi doon. Okay? Sample! What will you do with a large sum of money? 1. Who will benefit from that money? What will you buy? Where will you invest it on? Will you give some to charity? So yun yung example ng cue card sa task 2. Okay? So meron na akong 2 minutes to answer that. Let's check if kaya ko. Ready? My idea of a large sum of money would be several millions. For me, having several millions would be of great advantage because as an adult, I would like to use that money to invest in a business. Since I've been working in the educational industry for a long time, I think I would like to open up a review center of my own. Kinalaban. And probably be the supervisor and the maid. Natatawa tuloy ako. Wala, na-distract na. That would be one of the biggest investments that I would make with that money because I don't want it to be just a one-time spending. I want it to grow and I want the money to cycle in a business. And definitely, I would help out my parents. I'm talking about my in-laws because currently my biological parents are deceased. So I would like to help my in-laws and provide an auto repair shop for my stepdad because he's into motorcycle mechanical jobs and stuff like that. And I would also provide a small grocery business for my mother-in-law. Probably that would keep her busy. And I would like to donate to one of the orphanages in our hometown because I believe that sharing is one of the best things that you could do. And I am a big believer of what goes around comes around. So definitely I don't want the money to just be spent by me. I want other people to also experience the convenience of having money. 2 minutes na yun. Pero halo kasi dun yung mga chika-chika ko eh. Pero 'di ba? Ang iksi pala ng 2 minutes. Kulang pa nga yun eh. Gusto ko pang dagdagan. Pero anyways, ano oras na? Getting off topic. Ayan, ito pala yun. Ito yung example na sinasabi ko. Sige, basahin ko. Well, my favorite hobby is reading books. The recent book I read was about weddings. Actually, last week, I went to my cousin's wedding and it was amazing. The food was great and everyone was dancing. I also wore a very nice dress. Oh, and my uncle gave a long speech about his travels. But reading books is nice too, I guess. Pinilit na lang talaga niyang maging about sa book, ano? Pero, kung mapapansin niyo, saan siya nag-focus? Sa wedding. So, na-off topic siya. Kasi, ang favorite hobby na dapat niyang pinupusan is reading. So, dapat dyan, my favorite hobby is reading books. I'm really into fantasy. As a kid, I would read all the series of The Treehouse. Alam niyo yun, The Treehouse. Sad naman. It's about siblings, a brother and a sister, who went on different adventures around the world. I would read one series of the book in a week because I used to be a bookworm. And I remember before I developed a good reading habit, I was first a very stubborn kid. I remember my mom pushed me to start reading books. She shoved the dictionary onto my face and she said, "Stop playing, start reading the dictionary and improve your vocabulary." And from that day on, my favorite hobby is reading books, and I believe that it is beneficial up to this very day. O, diba? Nag-focus pa rin tayo sa books. Talking excessively. Dalawa lang naman yun sa mga test takers eh. It's either hindi nagsasalita or sobrang daming kinikwento. Alin ka dun sa dalawa? Ano, ikaw, Laika? Hindi ko pa alam kay Camila tsaka kay Ryan, hindi mo na-interview eh. But itong si Benica, makwento din to. You're very talkative, right? But you already know how to maximize your time and how to manage it. Si Joe kasi once pa lang naman. Pero I think, okay din to si Joe. Marunong siya mag-manage ng time niya. Okay. Huwag kayong ma-restrict sa format na 3 to 4 sentences. Just as long as hindi ka na off topic. Go lang. Pero syempre be mindful din. Kasi hindi lang naman isang tanong. Okay? I think we're gonna end kasi meron akong nakaschedule na coaching. Okay? Any questions that you would like to ask? I-continue na lang natin kung saan tayo natapos para sa susunod, yun naman yung ita-topic natin.